let's move on to the Yorch Torch situation, because this is a fascinating turn of events that we saw starting yesterday. And this is the first post. Let me bring it up from yesterday. And I'll let you speak to this, but let me read it off first. So this was the chair post, and this is the conversation you had. This is when he went off the rails. And this is when Yorch stepped up, which I think everyone was a little bit caught off guard by this one. He said, Jon, sorry to come out saying this, but that isn't right. I didn't sign up for this, and I don't like where this is going. Go and ask MasteroftheTDS an apology. No one contacted me to tell you this in public. If we're asking Smash for an apology, which where am I getting thrown into this? But okay, whatever. About a game, do it for a fellow gamer.
Like, I think what he was trying to say there was he was trying to say, like, hey, if we're asking Smash for an apology, then you need to ask Master for an apology. And that's what he said. That's what he kind of said later was that.
Right. No, I understand that. I understand that. Yeah. I just thought it was funny that I'm being brought into the conversation. I'm like, what do I have to do with this? But I get that from that perspective.
But yeah.
But that whole situation going down was wild to me. And the reaction from the community was extremely positive, where people like, holy shit, it's good to see that there's some sanity. I thought that Yorch Torch was just as unhinged and insane as Jon, to the point where I almost thought that they were the same person, because I'm like, there's no way there are two people that found each other that are this crazy together. But then we have this update today from this post.
Yeah, and this honestly, I'll tell you something, Smash. There's like a lot of people who like this, and clearly you can't see likes. Do you want to know? I can tell you this. Do you want to know who liked this post?
I'm trying to think.
Someone you're going to be surprised by, and no, it's not Alyssa.
Oh, I was going to say, don't say Alyssa.
Nope.
Razor Fist?
McDizzle.
Oh, okay.
And we know how he feels about you. So again,
I almost see as McDizzle is chaotic, but he tries really hard to not be. So he's always constantly at war with himself, as far as like, is he going to be unhinged? Is he not? Never know what you're going to get with him. Almost like a Vertanga type.
Oh yeah, I don't know the guy very well. I think we've had a couple interactions, but I found it very interesting that like, and I've noticed this too. There were people who vehemently hate me, making threads about Jon and going after him, and I was like, what the heck? And it's like, when people who don't like me are like, I hate Master, but you went too far here. You know, it's like,
did that guy who made the diss track on you say that?
Oh no, he's busy saying that he catfish. I was catfished and whatever. He's being weirdo. No, actually, sorry. No, now he's trying to say he got mad at me for about the t-shirt thing. I kept trying to offer him a t-shirt, so he took a Dark Brandon video and put my tweet in it, and basically said how like I'm insinuated that I'm throwing a tantrum or something. And I'm like, so that's a no on the t-shirt then? You know, like I don't know what else to say.
So anyway, so we got this today.
And then this was, I was very surprised. He liked this post and he liked a couple other ones. So I was like, okay, Yorch is still around, because Yorch actually took a little break from Twitter today. He posted and said he was going offline, and he gave a couple accounts people should follow and whatever. And I have to give Yorch some credit. Okay. Also earlier today, Grums posted like a trailer for a game or whatever. And Yorch, in good nature, I was so surprised. He responded to Grums and said, "It looks woke, JK, just kidding, looks fine, whatever." And I'm like, so he gets it. He's like waking up like a little bit. Like, look, I'm not saying he's going to completely turn a 180, but clearly he's like, okay, I've gone too far and I need to own that, a little bit.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, respect, like I'm very surprised. Like, look at this. This is not.
What's interesting is I don't see Jon Del Arroz listed here.
It's not. I know Jon Del Arroz did reply to this, but
curious.
But he posted this, and he's been much. Look, I'm not saying. Look, Yorch clearly puts himself out there, and he clearly sometimes does it for attention. And you know what? He can do it for attention. He can do whatever he wants. He's his own person. Mm-hmm. But obviously it was getting to a point where he was kind of being, pointed at and kind of laughed at and whatever. And look, I was kind of, I didn't want to like take credit for it, but clearly this was more than just about what Jon said. It was clearly about, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back over this, but it was clearly also about the fact that he said it to me. Because Yorch has always been nice to me, and I haven't gone after him or done anything. So and every time he would respond to Jon's posts, one of his first couple of things he would say was apologize to Master of the TDS. And I was kind of like, okay, it can't just be me or whatever. So, but you know what? Because I saw what he was doing, I gave him a follow back. And when I did, he actually subscribed to me, like paid subscription to me. And look, maybe he'll, become cringe in a week from now. Who knows? But like if I see, I'm the kind of person who, if I see change and I see someone trying to make a change, even if it doesn't stick, even if whatever, I'm willing to give a second chance. If Jon Del Arroz had today apologized to me, do you know what I would have done, Smash?
You would give him another chance and been
I would have unblocked him. I wouldn't have refollowed. I would have unblocked him, and I would have said, it's gonna take some time for you to earn my trust back. I think that's totally fair.
People were confused as to why I even bothered going on with him. Like, why is this even happening? And it was kind of twofold. It was one, to show people that I'm not like someone that's not going to talk to people that I disagree with. I'll talk to people if they want to talk, especially if we have strong stances on opposing where we're at. I'd love to find where people are at. But it was two, to give him an opportunity to admit that, hey, maybe I did go a little too far here, and maybe I do need to reel it in a little bit, because that was a little unhinged, a little wild. And the fact that he doubled down twice on it today,
it was more than that. It was honestly, I just got to the two clips. There were a couple times he said something about, like, remember, he also made he clearly had some stuff planned in advance, and one of the things he did was having Vox Day on, because Vox Day I think was Indian or whatever, and he made like an Indian joke and you didn't react to it, and then he used it like, look, Vox Day's an Indian, and he didn't get offended. It's like, that's a false equivalency. You're saying, you're making a joke about scalping, which yes was a thing that happened to Indians and it's terrible. But there wasn't like the mass scalping epidemic of whatever, or the war of scalps. That didn't happen. Now, I'm not saying there weren't wars and stuff like that. Obviously there were, but like, he was trying to do this specifically to paint a narrative. And the thing was, the way he framed having you on made it look like we were actually going to get a resolution. Like, we were going to build a bridge. We're going to be like, okay, I just agree with you on this.
It was a very disingenuous, and I should have known that going into it, but I was in good faith being like, okay, he wants to have me on. He wants to build a bridge and figure this out. It's just going to be one-on-one, me and him talking about it. And it was anything but any of that, which,
yeah, I was listening, and you know what's so sad? At the beginning, the first 30 minutes of the stream, if you had given me just that in isolation, you guys all seem like buddies. And it's so sad. It's so sad that just over this, we have to be at each other's throats. Like, I don't understand.
I think that's a great point to bring up, because I almost didn't even intend because you never know. Obviously at the beginning you feel each other out and you like have a conversation, whatever. But yeah, the way it started out was just kind of like, wow, okay, yeah, we have a lot of commonality, a lot of common ground. Now let's talk about what we disagree with. And that's where it all fell to shit. So
yeah, but I like his bringing you on was like, he made you Smash is agreeing, he won't show his knees. And I'm like, oh, good jokes. We got something going here. Like, I liked that.
Yeah, that was funny. But let's finish up this Yorch Shore thing, because this was interesting. He said, gamers, I'm taking the day off to spend it with my wife and son. Here's a list of games to support and X accounts to follow while I'm away. You'll have an amazing time playing these games while supporting these extraordinary content creators. Which, I mean, that's pretty cool. That's whatever.
It's something I haven't seen from Yorch in a while, I'll be honest.
The Great Rebellion is actually an awesome game, by the way.
I see Soul Ash 2 there as well.
Oh yeah, Soul Ash 2. Yeah, that's Arthur made that game.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Also, we want to get to super chats eventually. So we
yeah. We'll get to the supers right
after.
No,
just a reminder.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So this is, we didn't read this though. This is from today after the.
Yeah, I was surprised. I figured he would just like it, but the fact that he replied shows. And I know this was mentioned before, but Yorch has removed that he's a contributor to Fandom Pulse from his bio. Like
Jay Viper
he's
mentioned
gone.
that last night on stream.
It's gone. Like it's pretty good.
So he said, terrible. I apologize to the gaming community at large for a period of time when I thought Jon was a force for good for conservatives. Now I understand Dr. Jordan Peterson's words about pharisaical figures. Am I saying that right?
I don't know. I'll be honest.
Conservatives conserve. We don't destroy. Lesson learned. And I wrote back, glad to see some good come from today's meet. Cheers. And he wrote back, it's all about saving gaming. Cheers.
Yeah, and I actually responded to him too, because I've been, I don't know if people notice, but I've been very careful about, I've been much less responsive to people in the day. And I had like posted about Jon yesterday and then literally didn't post anything again for like 17 hours. And the reason was because honestly, it bummed me out. I really, even now, I think that obviously the guy's shown his true colors and he clearly doesn't care about sacrificing friends for clout. And you know what? That's his, he can do whatever he wants. But for me, I remember the Jon that used to be. I remember the Jon that, I had decent conversations with, that we worked together on certain, we didn't work together like in books or anything like that. But like, I remember like responding to posts together about pop culture issues that had nothing to do with gaming. I remember all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And for me, it's just kind of like, wow, that's never going to happen now.
Yeah, I think we've all been through that, just not online as well, but in real life with people where you put a lot of effort into making a friendship work, and then you see them just drop the ball, and you're just like, what was all that for? Why are you being like that now? But
I just didn't get it. I honestly, sorry, that's the thing. I do get it. If I wasn't going to publicly show support for him in the way that he wanted to, I was I was expendable.
Yeah, right. And I think that says more about him than anything. And just to tie up this conversation about Yorch. So after this situation, I gained a tremendous amount of respect for him, not just because he's going against the grain with Jon, but where he's just being logical. And I'm like, bro, I thought logic was gone with these people. So it was a huge step. And he actually reached out to me with DMs, and I talked to him back and forth, and I followed him back, and he followed me back. And I'm like, God, you love to see it. And again, like, who knows where it goes from here with the community, but at least something good came from this shit show, where it's just more, just shining light on a situation to cleanse the evil that is really there. Any final thoughts on the Yorch Torch thing?
No, I was just gonna say he hasn't reached out to me. I would say probably because he doesn't really know what to kind of. I would assume he probably doesn't know what to say. But if he is watching, I want him to know I don't have any hard feelings towards him. I never did. I kind of just took a step back from things like I was doing with Jon, because I just wanted us all to get along, and I knew that wasn't possible, but I look, I'm logical. I knew it wasn't possible, but it doesn't mean I couldn't try. That's when I reached out to you and I was like, hey, can we do this? And everybody was like, no, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, I tried. I did my best. I wanted to at least put an effort in and say, you know what? I tried. At the end of the day, I can look at myself in the mirror because I tried to do the right thing. And if it didn't work, it didn't work. And that's just how it is.
And that was the same, not to be narcissistic here, but you just reminded me. That's the same with me, why I went on the stream with them. It's like, hey, I can try. And at least I tried to have a conversation with them. And it was what it was. I knew I wasn't going to change their mind, but the frustration really came out with the doubling down on some really awful, awful things. And and basically standing the ground with that. It's like, well, why do you expect me to bend the knee to you, but you are not willing to meet me halfway on anything? It's fascinating.